Have you ever thought of a simple bark can be life-saving? You may never have seen or heard something like that from him, but the truth is that sometimes our four-legged friends have a hunch that goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. This is a special evening in a quiet neighborhood, a place where everything seems normal until a strange sound breaks the silence. A dog that seemed to be more than just a pet. You can start to do things differently, restless, and with a power that is not consistent with the typical pace of day-to-day. Their barks, which were only the sounds of a warning, they carry a sense of urgency that calls attention to it. Have you ever gone through something like that? The feeling that something is not right, even without knowing exactly what it is? This is exactly how many animals do you see what is happening around you. In this case, he's barking insistent that it wasn't just a noise, but is a genuine cry for help. That is what is happening right there, in that house on that street. As a single dog can get an at-risk situation, which often goes unnoticed by us, the humans, you are going to discover a connection between dogs and humans go way beyond what we imagine. And many times, the natural instinct of the animal is a good way to communicate. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out now that can really surprise you. The story that follows shows you the strength of a bond, a special love, the sense and the sensibility of a dog that was able to make the difference between a tragedy and despair. This is a testament to that defies all logic, and it shows that, at times, a greater courage comes in the least to speak, but a lot do. Ready to move on and think about the power that they have to teach us? Then, continue on to me, because from here the story starts to unfold, revealing the details of which will hold from the beginning to the end. If you can identify with this story, or have already gone through moments of silence said it all, leave it here in the comments on what you played so far. Sharing our experiences is one way to strengthen this connection, by showing that you are not alone in this world, full of emotions and life lessons. In your comment, you can draw inspiration from someone who is experiencing a similar situation, or just to bring a sense of hope and understanding. And of course, if the content is played on your heart, and don't forget to like the video, it helps us to continue bringing you stories that you want, and it stimulates self-reflection. Each and every enjoy is the motivation to keep this channel alive, full of stories that make us think about what really matters to you. In addition to this, if you want to keep up with each new narrative, one that is subscribed to the channel, this is the best step. So, you can stay up to date with everything, and participate in this community that appreciates the value of emotions and life lessons deep. His presence makes all the difference, because together, we've created a space in which stories like this can reach more people and generate more of a positive impact. So, keep with me, that you still have so much more to discover and experience. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the transformation that you are looking for does not happen by accident, or just have a simple desire to change it. She is in need of a more genuine, a true connection to what truly matters, and above all, of a conscious decision to break with the patterns they often do not realize that we have. It is at this point that comes to the journey of self-discovery, one that reveals the layer hidden in the inside, the hidden truths that shape our decisions and actions for the day. Many times when we are so immersed in the routine of duty that we forget to look within, to question why we react in a certain way, or why they follow certain behaviors. And it is precisely this inner silence that the signs are starting to emerge, opening up the space for true transformation and in a lasting way. To deepen the study of this process, we find that the change is not a matter of willpower, or, for technical, fast, but also a change in mindset. After all, the one that actually supports our actions. This is what we believe to be the truth, even if that truth is an illusion imposed on us by past experiences, limiting beliefs, or even to the opinions of others. And the more we connect with that essence that makes you unique, the easier it is to reprogram our minds, to create a new paradigm which aligns with our deepest desires. It is a kind of internal revolution, a battle, a silent what we have been taught to be and what they really want. And in this battle, many times it is about having the courage to deal with the discomfort, for letting go of old concepts and to embrace a new outlook on life. Another point that deserves attention is the influence of the environment and the people around us in this process of transformation. After all, we are social beings who are influenced by everything that surrounds us, and it can both promote and hinder our progress. This is where it comes to the importance of having a support network of people who share the same values and who are willing to walk together in this journey of awakening. This support network, which acts as a catalyst, accelerating our move and in helping us to see beyond the limitations that oftentimes we create for ourselves. And at the same time, it has the real strength that we need to get in touch with others who are also searching for a life that is more authentic, more in line with what we believe to be the truth hidden. Within the realm of possibilities, many of the revelations that take place behind the scenes in our minds and in our hearts. This revelation often comes in the form of a small epiphanies that seem to be simple, but they contain a huge impact on our journey. A decision has been made, with courage in the thought that change of direction, a choice is made with a conscience. All of that together, and it begins to change our path in a way that seemed to be impossible. It's as if every step you take, every reflection, every conscious decision to be a part of the puzzle that slowly unveils a new version of ourselves, the stronger, more more aware, and more in tune with our purpose in life. And then, when you think about all of this, it becomes clear that the real change is a journey of discovery continued, in a constant quest for authenticity and for the understanding of the impact that we make on the world, starting in the US. Each and every insight, every decision, and every small act of courage, that is, a seed is planted in the fertile soil of our soul. A change that, though it may seem to be silent, it has a profound impact and capable of change in our history and influence the universe around us in ways we can't even imagine. And at this point, we realize that the key is to embrace this journey with all its difficulties and the revelation in the knowledge that the path to true freedom, emotional and mental it is. In fact, it's an achievement, daily, in a battle to be won all the time that you have decided to get in touch with our truth, the most pure. He writes that resilience. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand that transformation is not something that happens in an hour or so to the other one. It is, in fact, a construction site daily, with a choice of constant if you stand firm in the face of adversity to not let the negative emotions in the rule, or that the questions may prevent you from moving forward. Resilience, in this context, it is no longer just a nice word to make it a practice and a powerful attitude that shapes our understanding of the obstacles and pain, which, in turn, appear in the course of the journey. When we talk about resilience, we are talking about a force that is within you that grows stronger each and every decision. From the rise up after a fall, you learn from your mistakes, turn on the failures of the stepping stones to something bigger than themselves. It's like a muscle you have. The more it is exercised, the stronger it gets. And that strength doesn't come from the outside. It's not something that someone gives to us, but rather from the inside, from our commitment to the truth of what we carry in our hearts. It is at this point that we begin to understand that true freedom is emotional. It is not something that one can give or take away, but it's something that we earn when you learn how to reconnect with who you really are, even when everything around you seems to fall apart. A journey of self-discovery requires courage, because a lot of times we come across with the parts of ourselves that we would prefer to conceal or deny it. But in the embrace of these shadows, to face them head on, we take the most important step in the direction of the transformation. This is where it all changes when, instead of resisting what we feel, we learn to welcome them, to understand what these emotions, the more painful it will be, they have a message to deliver. And then, to decrypt this message, we begin to understand that we are stronger than we imagined, and that our humanity is made up of strength and hope even in the darkest times. This resistance is, in fact, it is a form of self-love. It's a decision to not let the storms of life lead us not to despair, but to teach them how to navigate through rough waters with a more mature and calm. This is the mentality that it's all part of the process of growth, is what really differentiates those who stay stuck in the pain of those who are able to use it as a fuel to keep you going. So each and every day, when you stand with your head held high and your heart open, that person is going to strengthen the essence of what we call resilience, creating a layer of invisible protection against all the odds that is still to come. It is in this continuous movement is the self-transformation, which will appear in the revelations of the deepest. It is not only about overcoming the difficulties, but rather to understand that they too are a part of our history, and that each and every scar is proof that, even in the pain, there is a seed of hope. The truth hides behind all that is that when you accept your imperfections, while the recognition of our vulnerability, we are actually setting us free from the prisons invisible, the one that keeps us from being truly free. This freedom is born out of the understanding that we are in a constant state of evolution that can change our circumstances, both internal and external, and if we choose to act with courage, awareness, and love. Now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is precisely at this point that we begin to understand the true impact of such a mindset of the transformation. When we see our own experiences, rather than as an obstacle, but as an essential part of our growth, and it changes everything. The way in which we interact with the world and the people around us, with our emotions, it turns out deeply. We understand the impact of our daily decisions shapes not only the present, but for the future of our world. And so, we set out to build a new narrative, one that is based on the fact that we are the authors of our own story, and able to write the chapters of triumph and hope, even in the most difficult moments. This understanding brings about a sense of entitlement that often gets hidden behind the fear or doubt. When we found out that we have the power to transform our emotions, our actions, and, above all, of our planet, it all becomes a matter of choice. And that, as simple as it may seem to you, it may have an impact invaluable in our journey of self-discovery. Each of the decision-making that is aligned with our deepest truth, it's like a firm step in the direction of, in order to live more fully, more consciously, more authentic. And then, when you go down that path, we realize that a real transformation, it also goes behind the scenes of our mind, and that's where it starts to be reprogrammed, and where the old beliefs will give rise to new opportunities, and where you hope to become a strong ally and constant. And, in the process, we have learned that the truth is hidden behind all of this internal struggle, is that there is a magical formula, ready-made formula, for eternal happiness. What's more powerful, it is our willingness to continue to insist on believing that no matter what happens, we are able to reinvent themselves. In this capacity, continuous renewal is the one that allows us to move on, even when the way seems dark, even when the questions are insisting on appearing. After all, it is the day of transformation. It is a dance between light and shadow, between courage and fear, and the secret lies in not giving up on straight ahead, with the assurance that each step brings us closer to our true nature. If you think about it, all of this is revealed in a surprising, our greatest strength lies in our vulnerability, in our willingness to open ourselves to the new, to face the truth with courage. It is as if, in the embrace of our own weakness, we are also strengthening our souls and make us more resilient in the storms of life. And at the same time, to be more human, more connected to the essence of who we really are. Because deep down, the real emotional release only comes when we accept who we are, with all our imperfections, and decide that, in spite of it all, we stand firm on the hunt for our very best. He writes that resilience, and then let the word ring in you. This is just a reminder that the journey of transformation, you are always on the move, always under construction, always open to new revelations. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, because in fact, that quest for freedom, emotional, it's not just about accepting our own imperfections, but also to understand that each and every decision that we make in the course of human history is a direct reflection of our minds. It's as if you're constantly writing the inside story, a story that influences every choice, every reaction, every feeling that we experience. And it is this narrative, one that is often shaped by the beliefs that we do not always realize that there are standards that have been created in the childhood, or because the experiences that have left traces of invisible, yet profound. When we begin to break down the stories within, to explore what's behind the emotions are more intense, we will give you a huge step in the direction of a true transformation. This is where it comes to the concept of self-awareness, which acts as a key to unlock the door, which had, until then, seemed to be behind closed doors. It's not just understand what we know, but why do we feel it, which is the source of the impact, which in certain situations can have on us. Many times, a simple comment or a critique of the world you can re-enable the wounds of old without realizing it. We will respond in a way that doesn't always make sense to our logical, rational, and reasonable, but it shows a lot about what we carry inside of us. In this process, the auto-exploration takes courage, because most of the time, to confront our own shadow, it's making her uncomfortable. It's easier to run away, deny it, or to put the blame on the external world, but the real freedom begins when we have the courage to look within, to accept that it is what we found in there as a part of our history, even if at times be painful. The latter, in its turn, is not synonymous with resignation, but with understanding. To understand our emotions and our patterns of behavior and our choices are the result of a set of experiences that have shaped them over time. And to understand this, we realize that we all have the power to rewrite this story, to pick up with new answers to build a mindset, more strong and more in tune with who you really want to be. From then on, everything changes. Because of this, internal change is not a matter of willpower, but from a transformation of consciousness. When we are able to see beyond what our physical eyes perceive them, we can begin to understand the impact of our decision-making, with reverberations far beyond the present moment. Each and every choice, whether conscious or unconscious, influences on our journey, on our relationships, our emotional health, and even our self-realization. This leads us to reflect on the true meaning of freedom is not the absence of boundaries, but the ability to choose, to decide with clarity and confidence, even in the face of adversity. And it is precisely at this point that the resilience of the gain in a key role, because when you come to realize that our strength comes from the inside, it is powered by and with a growth mindset and the acceptance of it, we are better able to deal with the ups and downs of life. Resilience, in this context, it isn't just about withstanding the storm, but about learning to be with them, on reinventing itself at every fall, on the use of their difficulties as stepping stones to move forward even stronger. And this is only possible when you have a clear vision of who we are. In fact, in addition to the masks, in addition to all of the limitations that sometimes we create for ourselves. Prior to the end of our story, I want you to imagine the grandeur of this journey. It's not something that happens from one hour to the other, nor to a change in the surface, which is solved with a couple of good intentions. It is a continuous process, a constant quest for authenticity, for the understanding of our own beliefs, and at the same time, let them develop. Because deep down, this is the essence of transformation and movement, a perpetual discovery, acceptance, and decision-making. And in it, each and every step, however small it may seem, contributes to a new version of yourself. The more free, the stronger, the more you align with your true purpose. After all, it is the emotional release that is not a final destination, but it is a day of choices. And when you realize this, we can begin to understand the impact of our decision-making is not limited to this, but the echo in the future, opening the door for a chance to be there, seemed to be unattainable. Every day is a new opportunity to reconnect with your core, strengthen your mind, and make what appeared to be a limitation into a source of strength. And so, the journey continues and is always on the move, move, ever-changing, revealing new horizons await. It's only the courage to explore. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that understand this dynamic. It is like unraveling one of the biggest mysteries in that it involves reaching out to transform the interior. Many of the times, we have spent years believing that our own limitations are fixed in a kind of destiny that we can't change it. But in truth, they are only the starting points of the obstacles that the universe itself is presented to us, so that we can learn something of value. This is of a truth that hides the few to realize that all that challenge is an opportunity in disguise, a chance to grow and develop, and to reconnect with the force within, which often lies dormant. Think of it this way requires a shift in mindset. It's like looking at a rock in the way, and instead of seeing it as a problem, see it as an opportunity to learn to balance, to be the most patient, the most hard-wearing. This change in perspective is what truly drives the transformation. When we begin to believe that our challenges are, in fact, the tools for growth, and it all starts to make sense. Every difficulty, every failure is a lesson to prepare us for something bigger than themselves. And this is one of those discoveries that impact our journey of evolution. It is in moments of hardship, but when faced with the right mindset and become the greatest catalyst of change. When you drill down to it, we realize that a lot of our decision-making every day carry a burden greater than we had imagined. Each and every choice we make, every thought that we cultivate, construct of our reality. And in the process, our mind acts as a kind of master of the invisible by casting our results in accordance with the commands that you give it to her. If you feed it doubt, fear, and insecurity, all of these feelings end up making all the main characters of our story. But if we learn how to entertain thoughts of trust, hope, and courage, we opened up the space for a new narrative, a story of achievement and accomplishment. This is the turn of the key, often behind the scenes of our mind, when we begin to question what we believe to be the truth. For example, the idea that we are doomed to repeat the patterns, or they are unable to make a difference in our lives. These are the truths that are hidden from you. Once revealed, will give us the power to rewrite our own history. It's like finding out a secret of the ancestor, a revelation that connects us to a greater power, one that was always there, just waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. And, in the process of discovery, it is clear that the transformation is not something that is external, but it's a journey on the inside. Every decision we make, every action we take, it is a reflection of what we believe about ourselves. When we begin to change our way of thinking, everything around you starts to change, because we act in line with this new approach. It's a kind of a domino effect, where a change in the internal echo in all areas of life, creating an impact that extends beyond our own expectations of the most sanguine. As we move forward, we become more aware of our own revelations, built in to the small everyday victories, which, as a whole, building to a revolution in our lives. And, in doing so, we realize that the journey has no one destination in the final set, but it is in a constant state of evolution. Each step reveals a new layer, and ourselves, a truth hidden before it was hidden away under the weight of fear or doubt. And then, when you discover out these behind the scenes to internal, we can begin to understand that we are the main sources of our processing, and the architects of our own impact on the world. At this point, the connection between the mind, the decisions we make, and the signs that you find along the way, it becomes harder and harder. And it is at this point, it is clear that the real power is in our hands, the power to decide what direction to give to me. Every obstacle you overcome, every belief that we have left behind, we're adding a new version of ourselves, in a release that it is not limited to the external environment, but it is fueled by an inner strength, which, when ignited, is capable of moving mountains and change the world. And so, as we continue exploring more of these scenes of self-awareness, we realize that the journey is one of constant discovery and our own personal revelation. Each and every insight, each change of perspective, it's a piece that fits into the big jigsaw puzzle of our evolution. And in the process, we have learned that the greatest transformation begins from the inside to the outside. And that's the impact that we want to see in the world, only in cases where we have decided to change the way we think, act, and feel. With this understanding, we are involved in a story before, and it seemed destined to fail, and we have become the authors of a story of strength, hope, and the true inner freedom. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the surface. It is deep-rooted in our experiences, the way we interpret the world, and the decisions that we make, or the power that we have at each and every step of the way. The journey of change is, in fact, it's a journey of self-discovery, facing the things that a lot of times we would prefer to conceal or deny, but which, if revealed, has the power to break free and open the door to possibilities previously unimaginable. It is not just about wanting something a little different, it's about understanding the why of our actions, emotions, memories, and limiting beliefs. And based on this understanding, and to build a new narrative that reflects who we truly are and who we wish to become. In this search, we found that the impact of what we would like to make in the world, it is not a concept consequence of random things that we do, but it is a manifestation of the direct that we are on the inside. A change in the mindset of, for example, is about having the courage to challenge old patterns, to get out of your comfort zone, and to acknowledge that many of our certainties can be based on a set of beliefs that no longer make sense in our present-day reality. It's like opening a window into a new perspective, allowing the light of truth may be carried on the inside and light up our path of authenticity and purpose. When we begin to see our own limitations, we can make them a source of learning, rather than insurmountable obstacles. When you think about it, it is clear that the process of transformation requires a conscious decision and a genuine desire to improve. Don't you just want to change the surface or expect that the universe has delivered results that magic without breaking a sweat? You've got to take control, to realize that every decision, every action is a fundamental building block in the construction of this new reality. And it's this change of mind is not a one-time event, but a daily practice. A kind of exercise is strength in the US is limited. It is a journey to the persistence of a small revolution is internal. That is, to pile up, creating a wave of impact. The outer is able to exert a positive influence on the people around you. Behind all of this change, there is a truth to hide, that many are ignorant of the actual power lies in our ability to make decisions, to choose how we react to those circumstances, and to maintain integrity in the face of adversity. This is an inner strength that is often overlooked, is what sets us apart from those who only dream of a better life, and those who actually make it happen. And at this point, it starts to reveal what we call the journey of auto-empoderamento, where our mindset is the most powerful tool we have to open the doors, overcome obstacles, and create a reality in alignment with our deepest values. Starting from these reflections, it is evident that the impact of what we want to see in the world, it's not a question of luck or external circumstances, but as a direct result of the alignment procedure. When you have been able to connect with our dreams, our actions, our beliefs, the most sincere, it will all become more clear, lighter, and more the real thing. It's like an inner transformation that slowly manifests itself in the way we interact with each other. In a way, as we face the challenges and the strength that we gain from moving forward, even when everything seems to be against us. This connection between the interior and the exterior is what really shapes our history. And as we continue on this journey, we realize that with each step taken in the direction of the truth, even if it is small, it is the seed of change that can germinate and grow in amazing ways. It's like a revelation from behind the scenes of our own potential, and where we discover that we are capable of so much more than we imagined, and just decide to go to the next step with courage and faith. When you have this understanding becomes part of who you are, and the impact if it becomes inevitable, and that the processing is no longer something foreign to the make and natural expression of who we are becoming. And in that time, many of the questions that come in quietly. What is the next decision that you are going to commit to that change? What are the concrete actions you can take today to strengthen the mind? After all, it is the journey never ends. It reinvents itself every day and reveals new layers of ourselves and the strengthening of our authenticity. It is in this continuous stream of discoveries in and the choices that we find out the real meaning of a lasting transformation, that they are not dependent on external factors, but it is born out of a desire deep to evolve and to reinvent itself and to leave a positive mark on the world. And that is exactly where the magic happens, as this movement is from the inside to the outside. Where they are, in fact, that's what we do and what we believe in, creating a powerful current of an impact that an hour is expressed in the reality of those around us. He writes in, I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the connection between our everyday actions and the transformation we seek is something that often remains invisible to the eye, but it is important to understand how we can actually change our reality. The truth is hidden behind the success, happiness, or that of any conquest, long-lasting, which is currently in the quiet strength of our decision-making, simple in the discipline that you grow, even when no one is looking, and the mindset that we set up to see possibilities where before there were only obstacles. It's as if every thought, every choice, it was like a seed planted in the ground is invisible, and that is going to grow over time, revealing their fruit in times beyond our imaginations. The journey of transformation requires, first and foremost, a change in its internal structure and a review of our deeply held beliefs. Many times you'll see kind of a roadmap of the mind in the limited, which adds to doubts and fears, and building a real prison, it is invisible. And that is exactly where we need to act with the courage to challenge these narratives and to go a step further by exploring the behind the scenes of your own brain. Behind every fear, there is an opportunity for growth, and behind every question, and a valuable lesson. When you begin to realize that this game is built, is our perspective, if you zoom in, and you can see that the change is born from the inside to the outside of a conscious conscious decision to rewrite the history. And in the process, and the influence of the external environment could not be ruled out. A look behind the scenes of the impact that we are in the people with whom we engage, in the conversations that you eat, in the content we consume. All of this in the form of a network of stimuli to which they reinforce or undermine our progress. It's as if we're in a kind of a stage in the unseen, and where every action, every word, every thought, and he constructs a narrative that is going to determine our path. And this is the narrative for its time, and it's not something that happens by chance, but is the result of daily choices, decisions that seem small, but together they create a force for transformation, is able to change the course of our lives. Recognizing this dynamic, it is liberating because it gives us the power to take control of our story. It is not about to wait for the circumstances to change, per se, but rather to act with purpose, with intention. When we align our actions with our true aspirations, to create an impact that goes beyond the individual and the echo in the company, behind the scenes to the world in which we live. To understand the mechanism that helps us to understand that the change is not a one-off event, but is rather the consequence of a continuous journey of self-discovery and conscious, and a mindset that becomes stronger each and every day. And it is precisely at this point that the impact becomes clear. When you change your own beliefs and actions, have an effect on everything around us, often in a way that is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it is powerful. It is such a current as to recognize that it is spread, touching lives and awakening to new possibilities, opening up the doors of it before seemed to be locked. And that is the true essence of their journey, to understand that change starts within, and the impact that we want to see in the world, it is, in fact, as a result of our own inner transformation. And then, when you immerse yourself in this knowledge, we begin to realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it has a fundamental role in the construction of a new reality, more in line with what you really are and want it to be. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the truth hides behind all this journey of change, is that too often we are caught up in a kind of illusion that keeps us from seeing the true power that lies within us all. This is the illusion that causes us to believe that the external effect is a bit far away, unreachable, or that it depends on external factors. That is, in fact, they are always available to us in order to be processed. This perception is wrong, end up creating a sort of invisible wall, a wall that prevents us from moving forward, to really believe in the possibility of genuine change. And that's what's important to break down this story, to understand what is the real difference starts with our mind, with our provision of the internal action of a different way of thinking, in a way that's more aligned with our deepest values. To explore the behind the scenes of this transformation, we realize that every decision we make, every thought that we have cultivated, it is like a seed that, with time, it blooms into a concrete action. And all these actions, however small they may seem, they have a knock-on effect, not only in our own lives, but also for those around us. It is as if we are creating a stream from the impact of a silent. They often go unnoticed, but they are, in practice, is that it really does make a difference. This understanding leads to a new approach, where the responsibility is no longer seen as a burden, but an opportunity to exert control and influence over our own destiny. And here is where the issue of mental transformation, which is at the heart of it all, is not enough to just want to move on externally without working at the root space, because at the core, we are acting on the basis of our beliefs, our emotions, and the way in which we interpret the world. When you begin to question those beliefs, to understand that they are often the buildings or both, we take the first step on the path to freedom is to create a new narrative. It is as if we were rewriting the script of our own history, thus eliminating shots that don't serve us anymore, as well as adding new chapters to reflect who you really want to be. This is a journey of self-discovery, also showed that the impact of what we want to is not something that just appears out of nowhere, but it is the result of a series of small, conscious decisions. Making this, a lot of times, they seem insignificant at the time, but in some, they create a far-reaching transformation. When we look at our actions from that perspective, we come to realize that with every step, no matter how small, have a huge weight in the construction of our own destiny. And there you have it, the confidence in one's ability to shape the way that things are stronger, because we believe that we are at the mercy of chance, but rather that we have the power to influence the course of events from our choices on a daily basis. The truth is, this journey of transformation is also a journey of discovery. We have found that the real power lies in our vulnerability, the courage to face our fears and limitations with them. That courage, however, is that you can move forward even in the face of difficulties, because we think that they are a part of the process of growing up. And when you embrace that vulnerability, we see that our shortcomings are, in fact, the points of departure for continued evolution. At this point, we understand that change is not a final destination, but rather a constant state of evolution of who we are, our feelings, and the decisions that we make along the way. From there on, everything starts to make more sense of it. After all, it is the understanding that true transformation is within. We become more aware of our actions, our emotions, and our thoughts. We appreciate the impact that can generate, not only in our own lives, but also for those those that are around us. And with such a mentality, renovated, we see that the path of change, it is also a journey of self-discovery, of revelation within, where every step brings us closer to our higher purpose. Thus, the creation of a new reality of no longer something in the distance, and it becomes a natural extension of who we choose to be, of how you have decided to see the world, and how we choose to act in accordance with these values, the more profound. And now, as I reflect back on all of this, it becomes clear that the real impact occurs when we align our actions with our beliefs, more honest. When we get to transform our way of thinking and our decision-making take on a new meaning in it, and the knock-on effect that this creates almost like a silent revolution that begins in the US, and the spread of it throughout the universe in a way that it is not always possible to predict in advance. And so we continue on this journey, being aware of where the change happens in our lives, our truth, the more it hides, and that each step is taken with the intention of it is a seed for something bigger, something beyond our understanding the moment. Because deep down, the impact is more powerful than we can make it to the one who is born of a true transformation, one that flows from the inside to the outside, and that, at the time, shows his strength in the outside world, the ways in which it is not always possible to imagine. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't happen by chance, nor is it something that just comes out of nowhere. She comes from a conscious choice, a choice that we make in the quiet of your mind, when you decide that you're ready for a change. And that decision often comes with a series of small actions that, taken together, are beginning to shape our own realities in a way that seemed impossible before. It's like a seed that can be planted with the intention to begin to grow, facing obstacles while weathering the storm inside, and eventually emerged with a new version of himself, stronger, more in tune with what really matters to you. This process reveals that the change is not a matter of strength or the stress current, but also a change in mindset. Because you are, in essence, it all starts in your head. If you believe that you can, if you cultivate a mindset of growth, even in the most challenging obstacles become stepping stones to the next level. On the other hand, it's a mindset, and customers, you can transform any opportunity into a barrier. So, for the transformation begins in the field, the internal decision-making in that space is silent. What we believe about ourselves is shaped. This is where you decide if you are going to see in the story of the failure, or if you're going to hold on to the hope of a new chapter in its history, a story of self-improvement and discovery. Over the course of the journey, many of the revelations come behind the scenes of your own mind. As we go deeper into our true essence, we begin to notice the patterns that before went unnoticed. The patterns of thought that create the boundaries, invisible, and they look so natural that you don't even realize that they are in the mining. It's like a curtain is that. Once it is raised, it is a completely different scenario, the broad, full of possibilities. But in order for that the curtain is raised, you have to have the courage to confront the hidden truths, to look within and admit that certain types of behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes that no longer serve you more and more to our personal growth. This is one of the biggest revelations that real change requires brutal honesty with who we are and who we want to be. On the other hand, the honesty, it's not always a comfortable one. Many of the times, it's easier to pretend that everything is all right, you accept the limitations, such as a natural part of it, or blame external circumstances for the results that we achieve. But the real transformation happens when we stop seeking excuses and start taking responsibility for our own choices. This attitude on the part of emotional maturity is the difference between a journey to the surface of a far-reaching change. And to the extent that we assume that the domestic commitment, we have begun to realize that our daily decisions, however small they may seem, they have a direct impact on the quality of our evolution. Every decision is like a seed planted in the soil of our future. And then, just like a tree that is strong, is born out of a clean, well-established business, our transformation longed to come to a solid foundation of self-awareness and the intention to do so. In this process, we find that the change is not a one-off event, but a series of small actions that are aligned with a higher purpose. It is the sum total of these actions. It is often the quiet, building the bridge between who we are and who we can become. And to understand this dynamic, we can begin to understand that the real revolution happens first in the US, before they manifest to the outside world. Now, I want you to go deep into this subject. It is because of this understanding leads us to a crucial point, the connection between our emotions, our decisions, and the impact that it has on our journey of transformation. When we align with these elements in place, we create a powerful force that pushes us forward, even in the face of challenges that are more complex. It's like an invisible force able to move mountains. It was born from the understanding that we are the architects of our own destiny. And with this understanding comes from constantly reflect on our own actions, our choices, and the emotions that go along with them. After all, a lot of times, what is stopping us from moving forward, it's not a lack of opportunity, but it's the emotional weight we carry, all the limiting beliefs that we believe to be absolute truths. For this reason, it is essential that you learn how to identify emotional patterns that serve as locks to be seen. When we do this, we take the first step toward towards true happiness, because the inner freedom that is, in fact, the greater the impact we can make in our lives. And this freedom is born out of the understanding that we can choose our own emotions, our own answers, our own thoughts. We are not victims of chance or hostages of the situation. We are the authors of our own story, and with each decision you make reflects on the essence of freedom and power. And when you recognize this, you begin to realize that the transformation is an ongoing journey, a trend that never ends. It always flows from the point at which we decided to dig deeper into who we really are. For this journey, no matter how challenging it may be, it is also filled with stunning revelations. Each and every step that takes us to discover that part of ourselves which, until then, has remained hidden as a treasure of the forgotten, waiting to be discovered. It is in this process we realize that the greatest impact, it is not the change of the external, but the internal change in the way we see the world and ourselves. When you have this perspective, it turns out, everything around you starts to become a way of life that once seemed impossible. Thus, the real magic happens when we realize that we are the creators of our own reality, and that every decision, every emotion, every thought can be a powerful tool in building construction. And when you think about all of this, it is clear that the journey of transformation, it is a matter of deep connection with all that is most real in all of us. A connection that allows us to listen to our own voice, to unravel the hidden truths, and to build a new narrative of the life that is aligned with your purpose. And in the process, we have learned that the biggest impact we can make is the one that comes from a transformation of the genuine, which is not only superficially, but one that resonates in the deepest recesses of our being, reverberating to the outside world in a way that sometimes we can't even imagine. This one is a beauty on a journey of self-discovery. It tells us that, as we change internally, we're also changing, with the impact that we leave on the world, and to become agents of transformation, in that it starts from within and beyond ourselves. If you've read this far, I want to thank you for the follow-up on this conversation until the very end. I think that, in a way, this debate resonated with you, as well as how it resonated with me throughout this entire process. This exchange of ideas is what makes it all the more special, more genuine one. If you found this content was of some value, it is with an open heart to subscribe to the channel. So do you continue to receive these conversations, which I hope will help you to reflect, to grow, and to get a better understanding of themselves and the world around them. Oh, and if you want it, leave it here in the comments on this phrase that says, "I'm with you till the end," a message that represents you like this content and touched you. It's always nice to know that this trade-off makes sense, and that in some way we connect at a deeper level. And of course, the one you like and which arises naturally when they realize that the conversation was real and that it made sense to you, it also helps to strengthen the connection. There's a video right here on the side which complements this subject for a while, for those who want to continue on this journey of self-discovery. With just one click, and follow me there as well. In this way, we can further explore these issues and to maintain the exchange of ideas in the living. I hope to see you there, and that this journey will continue to take, full of great discoveries and moments of self-reflection. After all, it is the best thing about it is that we are always learning and improving, one step at a time.